Hello and welcome back to the podcast. We have lots of things to talk about. Obviously, we've got some football news, not so good, and maybe some positive news coming out of this. Also, it's about to be February, and we want your guys' shady stories of your Valentine's Day experiences. So write those in so we can get those ready and have a good Valentine's episode coming up for you guys. Also, in the bonus content this week, we're going to be going through some of the outfit choices of the WAGs from this season of football. So if you want to see us do some reviews on that, make sure you join the Patreon bonus content. But for now, let's get started with some football talk, of course, starting with the elephant in the room. The Lions aren't in the Super Bowl, which is literally, I think, the most absurd thing to come out of my mouth all season.
Truly.
But here we are. And I will say, on the positive note, we kind of got the script revealed to us again this year.
And I think we are finally going to go to the Super Bowl in 2026.
Right, because we've talked about this on previous seasons. Every time the NFL drops the logo for the Super Bowl, it ends up being the colors of the two teams that just so happen to be in the Super Bowl. And the theory even goes as far as to say the color that's not as much on the logo is the one who wins every year.
It is. And so this year, the Super Bowl logo's colors are red with a little bit of green. So maybe if history repeats, maybe it's the Eagles. And I think that's what America wants. I don't think America is rooting for the Chiefs this year.
I don't know if they really ever were.
This is true.
There's a lot of talk of the refs playing favorites and all that. So no one's really on board for that. But next year's logo, which has already been revealed, which I feel like they're doing this.
I know.
Because they know we know it's the script, and they want to calm the people down who are so angry about this Super Bowl lineup.
People wanted the Bills and the Lions in the Super Bowl. Those are, well, we are America's team, and then there's the Bills. But that was America's Super Bowl, and that was going to make the people happy.
And so I almost feel like the NFL dropped this to be like, okay, we know everyone's pissed, but calm down.
Simmer down.
Your theory's right. The script is out, and next year it will be the two teams you want. Let us play this out this year. Because even I think we've talked about boycotting and not watching in a way, which I will say this is giving the conversation we had last year, unfortunately.
I'm fully prepared not to watch.
Me too.
We have things to do.
It's at this point.
Why? It's
cares?
Honestly,
yeah.
It's just another day. It's not even that meaningful.
It's funny because we're so salty about it. Our last episode, we were saying how we were planning our entire lives around the
Super Bowl. No,
and now
we're
we're too busy.
We are too good. No, there was a point in time where literally my whole schedule I had for
planned around it.
The month of January and February was revolving around the Super Bowl, including paid time off, and that quickly was unraveled in the last, not just the last 5 minutes, but a lot of that last game we played. I literally sat there for the last 5 minutes, and
tears.
I wasn't watching the screen. I was just crying and looking at, I don't know, my kneecaps.
Wondering why we couldn't bite them off on this last game.
Truly. It was so pitiful. It was so dramatic of me, but honestly, I stand by my reaction because that's how I felt.
I agree. It was very disheartening, but it's fine. It sounds like next year's our year. According to the script, that was purpose. I feel like they purposely did that and put it out early this year. But also what's kind of funny, so we're talking about how people are saying that the refs are just making bad calls on purpose in favor of the Chiefs. Well, apparently LASIK eye surgery is offering free surgery to NFL referees through their Better Vision, Better Calls program. And they're actually offering it to referees in all major sports leagues.
I couldn't believe this. But what a great idea. Like,
Okay,
when
now
has anyone
that
been
is
talking about
marketing.
LASIK like this before?
No, that is great marketing. This is like one of the best marketing campaigns I've heard of in a while. It's
Truly.
actually so funny. So fans can nominate referees to receive free or discounted LASIK. And I have a feeling that after that last game, a few might have got nominated.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, they started the program after some referees missed obvious penalties, such as face mask violations. And so this is to help them improve their vision and make better calls. I think this is so funny. And I also feel that if LASIK did not buy a spot for the Super Bowl commercials,
They have
missed
to.
opportunity.
They really, really, truly deserve a spot in the Super Bowl commercial lineup. But also, I want to know, like, what do the refs feel about this? Are they against it? Do they think it's funny? Are they offended? Or are some of them thinking, I kind of always wanted LASIK. The opportunity has presented itself. I mean, if you wore glasses and considered actually getting LASIK at some point in your life and you were a ref for a professional sports organization, why not?
You would take them up on the offer?
I don't know, but LASIK's like a crazy surgery too. My mom got LASIK eye surgery.
Did she?
Like not back in the day, but it was when we were probably in elementary school. So it was like relatively new. It'd been around for a few years, but
I was
not
gonna say,
that
I didn't even
long.
realize it's been around that long. Have you heard like crazy stories on TikTok about it?
I have a crazy story for you. So when my mom went there, she went to some office. My dad was with her. They had in the waiting room a camera of what was going on in the operating room, because apparently like it was like quick, like person after person. So like it's this machine thing and you go in there, and I don't know if you're like, my mom would know if you had medicine or whatever. But you're awake, you're aware, and you have to keep your eye open and you can't move. And you have to stay completely still or something could go easily wrong. So some guy
That sounds like my worst nightmare.
No, and get this, and then the healing process is like
Crazy.
yeah, it's like I can't remember if it's a month or if it's a few months or whatever it is. But the guy that went in before my mom, my dad saw him walk out after, and then like a day later you have to go back for a checkup, and my dad saw the same guy again and was talking to him, and apparently every like 1,000 times the machine goes, like it can malfunction. It malfunctioned on that guy, the guy before my mom. So he had to go through the whole recovery and then get the surgery again if he chose to.
That's insane.
Because it's like a vigorous like.
So like your mom was one person away of like having it malfunction on her.
Yes. And like I probably missed some key details there, but high level, that's what happened. And we were literally just talking about this story. Honestly, I want to say the day of the Lions game.
I'm so confused. Do they like make you sign an NDA or something? Like if I was that guy, I would have came out and been like, don't fucking do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, and my dad said when he came out, like, it wasn't like, he didn't look funny, but he kind of like seemed off.
Well, because they were probably like, sorry, sir, it didn't go as planned.
Yeah.
He was probably like,
how
what do you mean?
Fucked. Like, what? I don't know. I could never do that. I could not. And like, it's something, it literally like comes at your eye and you're seeing it happen.
I know. I think they do something where like numbing drops or some kind of thing so that your eye doesn't move. But I know they like hold it open. I've seen like little clips of videos. I haven't seen the whole thing. But the whole concept to me is so wild that they can just like do that and fix your vision. I mean, thankfully, I haven't really had any like issues where I've had to encounter like that decision. I don't know what I would do. I don't know if I would actually ever do that because I feel like with the slight off chance that like something goes wrong,
I don't think I could do it.
Like I would contemplate that so hard.
You know when I could have did it? Before my frontal lobe fully developed.
Correct.
But
and hopefully they don't really do it that often before that.
I would hope that you would have to be of a certain age to be able to get LASIK surgery, but I really don't know.
I don't know the details either.
I don't know. And then she had to wear recovery like these big big glasses.
I've seen people out and about with them on, and
She
I like
went out and about.
immediately know.
We went to the water park at Frankenmuth, and she was just like wearing these glasses in the
water park,
which is honestly dangerous. And she was like, "Yeah, it sucked. I couldn't go in the hot tub."
That's what sucks.
Yeah,
dude, the moisture was probably just like building inside these glasses. She's lucky she's all right today.
I know.
Wild
Crazy
times. Well, speaking of this, if Lasik doesn't use this as a commercial, big missed opportunity. I feel like, though, that, again, as we mentioned last year, as we mentioned pretty much every year, that's why a lot of people watch. They want to see these commercials. And something else that came out of this, we talked about Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, yes.
All the lookalike contests that have been going on this past season. Apparently, for the Super Bowl, they're having the Timothée Chalamet lookalikes do a Super Bowl commercial.
Doesn't surprise me. But it is crazy because I feel like the Timothée Chalamet lookalike contest wasn't all that long ago. I want to say that was September, October-ish times. In my mind, Super Bowl commercials have to be made, created,
and planned so far in advance.
So far in advance, like in the summer, like submitted by September, easily done with. But it's when these people have these last minute submissions. I'm like, oh, what?
I have a hard time wrapping my head around this whole situation with them because also the Timothée Chalamet lookalikes were brought in for SNL. When he just hosted, they were like the teaser for the episode.
That was so smart.
And again, like, it's surprising to me, like, how quickly these things can be put together and, like, happen.
Right.
And also, specifically with this scenario, like, how did it work out that, like, the people who won or were a part of his lookalike contest were so willing to, like, be involved in this stuff? They're actors and, like,
because they all live in New York. I'm sure they're all theater kids at heart.
I guess. But, like, yeah, like, he got everyone lucky. Who also looks like him is also like him.
Yeah.
Like, him. Like what are the chances?
You're right. That is a little odd.
Like, what are the chances?
Very slim. Very slim to none.
Well, they just got full careers out of, like,
no,
just
100%.
Like...
They can ride that for at least the year just off that, and then from there find new opportunities.
Well, imagine saying, oh yeah, I was on SNL and I was on a Super Bowl commercial. Like,
yeah,
those
I guess
are two
you got
things
right there.
that, like,
big deal
actors tried to do for a long time, I'm sure, and never accomplish. And, like, these people, just because they look so like him, just got
That's such a good point.
It's kind of wild.
Well, good for them.
I mean, yeah, it worked out. It's crazy, too, that it specifically worked out for the Timothée Chalamet lookalikes and not all these other lookalike contests.
His contest, his was one of the first ones, so
yeah,
it makes
was like
sense.
A bigger deal. Yeah.
But how wild.
Yeah, it is. I also saw something that people are predicting that there's going to be a lot of AI.
I'm sure there will be. I feel like that's got to be at least 20% of the commercials have AI or reference AI at some point in it.
Yeah, I was wondering what this kind of meant because I saw a couple reports saying this, and I was wondering, like, do they mean they're going to be advertising for AI, like saying,
okay,
use it, this is a new one coming out?
That's part of my 20% as well then.
Or the whole commercial is going to be made with
I could see that, and then, like, some kind of, like, made with AI. I'm sure there'll be some ChatGPT jokes at some point, some AI advertisements just in itself. I don't know. I'm curious what I feel like the commercials have not been as good
I know.
in recent years. So hopefully they are better considering the price point for them.
Yeah. $8 million for 30 seconds is what's being said this year, which is absolutely wild. It's probably the highest it's ever been. But I also feel like that's why maybe they're not as good because, like, the companies that you kind of expect to see that usually do their normal Super Bowl commercials, I don't really know if you need a Super Bowl commercial anymore. It's like, it's one of those things where, like, there's so much marketing and advertising all over every single social media So if you almost put out your own version of like a Super Bowl commercial on TikTok and it wasn't actually on air,
Yeah.
people are still going to talk about it.
Oh, 1,000%. Especially if they put it up around this time, people might even just like loop it in with.
And like think it's one.
Yeah. Easily.
So if you're looking for a cheaper alternative and you're a company, that's what you should do. Also, we have the halftime performance.
Kendrick Lamar.
And apparently SZA is going to be making an appearance.
Yes, he just announced that. And then people are now thinking that Taylor Swift might come out as well because they collabed on Bad Blood. And I think the people that think that are dumb. Not because it would be silly for Taylor to be in the Super Bowl halftime performance, but I just think that if Taylor's going to do the Super Bowl halftime, she's going to do it on her own terms. She's not going to be featured. She is going to be the performer. And I think she just wants to go enjoy the game and support her boyfriend. I don't see her just coming out for a feature.
Yeah, I'm performing.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that a lot of people were speculating about just in general that they're not like revealing all the guest performers
I
yet,
could see that.
which I agree with that. Like I feel
That's pretty normal, I would say,
Yeah.
for a lot of Super Bowl. There's always a surprise guest here or there.
Yeah. So we will be watching out for that. Also, we were all watching out, I think, this past week for the Rachel Kirkconnell Call Her Daddy episode that came out right on time for her split with Matt James, which
I listened to it in real time.
did you? Was this like your first, I mean, not your first time, but like fully listening?
Yeah.
I feel like normally
I
we
listen to a
discuss
lot of clips of the Call Her
yeah.
Daddy episodes, but I don't, maybe a few in the past I've listened to like interviews here or there. Like I feel like the Miley Cyrus one I listened to in full, but this was the first time that at 9 p.m. on the dot, I was in the queue, I was ready, and I listened to it in full.
I think a lot of people felt that way. I saw a lot of comments saying the same thing, and I feel that because she moved so quickly, which
This was
props
perfect
to Alex
timing.
Cooper for this timing, because it was actually so fresh and so fast that no one had any information yet. So this
None.
truly was like everyone wanted to see what the first information was going to be, which I don't know what we've come to that. Like we needed to know what happened of like this breakup. Which
I needed the answers.
This wasn't even like the first time they'd broken up either. So I was like,
no, it wasn't.
but it was such a big deal.
It was so strange, and that's what I think was so
everyone was so-
captivating because his Instagram post was just very bizarre, almost like a prayer.
It was. So if you don't know who we're talking about, Rachel Kirkconnell and Matt James met on The Bachelor. It was his season of The Bachelor. And they got together, but they never got engaged at the end of the season.
Nope.
And it was kind of like on the premise that they were eventually going to get engaged, but they were just going to be in a relationship. They broke up. They got back together. They broke up just recently again. But this is after like 7 years of dating.
4.
Oh, 4?
4.
Why am I saying 7?
Because it feels like it's been 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, it's COVID years, you know. It's a little.
So it adds like 3.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes perfect
It does
sense.
make perfect sense.
So, yeah, so they've been together for a really long time at this point. And like everyone recently too, I think this is what was people thought was weird too, because the most recent conversation surrounding their relationship in the media has been that they're about to get engaged and
Yeah.
they're like
And he's been putting that information out there.
Yeah. So I think people were just very blindsided, and also apparently she was, which is why she ended up going on Call Her Daddy to talk about what happened. So you saw the episode.
I sure did. So I took some notes here because it was a lot to take in. Basically, what had happened, they were in London together. They do a lot of traveling, and
Love London, want to go back. I keep saying that.
I know we were just talking
I
about
keep
this.
having aspirations to like travel right now, and I'm like, I don't know where I think I'm going. Like I'm giving birth.
We're
and,
staying right here in Michigan
and I'm like,
for a minute.
I'm like, I want to go to Mexico. I want to go to
yeah, I was actually shocked
like I'm
when
just
you
like
brought
naming.
that up.
I want to go to London. Like where do I think I'm going? I'm going nowhere. I'm staying right here. I'm about to have a child.
We'll go in
But
the near
eventually.
future, and eventually, well, we have some time to plan some nice
I
trips.
have like the travel itch. Okay, but continue.
I love to hear. Well, they were out here traveling. Matt
Good for them.
is a food vlogger, apparently. Posts a lot of TikToks and reels about that. So what had happened was they went from London to Tokyo. While they were in Tokyo, Rachel was trying to figure out where they were going to go to dinner for one of the nights that they were there. And I guess this is something that she can find to be a little stressful because she puts a lot of pressure on herself to find a good place for them to eat because Matt gets all of his content at the dinners that they go to, especially when they travel.
What is he, like a foodie?
Yeah, he's like a food vlogger.
Okay.
Have you ever seen their videos?
No.
Rachel's the best part in them. She's the talent there.
Okay.
But he does like a voiceover and they review restaurants or different foods. They actually would go to Disney World a lot, so I saw a lot of that.
So that's truly what your investment was?
Yes.
Okay.
And I like Rachel. So she was, again, a lot of pressure around this, and basically it sounded like she kind of acts almost like his assistant in finding these places, and that he wants to get all the content as much as possible whenever they're traveling. It's like a missed opportunity if they don't film one of their meals, and it's not perfect. So they get to this restaurant.
That leads me to believe that like there's been experiences where he perhaps maybe has gotten angry with her over picking certain places. So she's like, it's a high stress scenario for her.
100%.
Because when you just hear that in general, like, it's a very weird thing to get stressed out about unless there's some toxicity of like that
him
you've
getting
experienced
pissed,
before.
Him having words, him acting a certain way, and potentially putting blame on her for, oh, right, well, and now like I can't film this, and now I can't make money, or I don't know.
You're an adult as well, and if it's important to you, you can find your own places.
So she was trying to ask him for help. He wasn't being helpful. She also mentioned that she was on her period, so she was already emotional. They get to the restaurant. She can just tell by the menu, this isn't going to be it. The food's not it. Like, just not the best food, the best experience. So while they're there, she gets so stressed that she starts to cry because she's overwhelmed. And he handles this not by comforting her, not by saying, oh, it's fine. We'll just have a meal. We'll go home. It's not a big deal.
Right, like we'll just actually enjoy the life
dinner being in Tokyo. Yeah. No, he is just silent treatment, which is my least favorite way for someone to react to crying is just by being silent and not saying anything. So they get back to the hotel room and he begins to turn the situation on her. And his point is, well, Rachel, you know, if that's how you're going to act about the small things in life, what's going to happen when there's actually like big problems? Like, how are you going to react then? And just like acting as if they hadn't been together for 4 years. Like,
right. Like that's your first time where you're thinking, how is this person reacting when we face adversity? Like you've obviously had these situations before. Also for his own, like turning that question back on him, like you're going to give her the silent treatment and freak out over a restaurant, over food. Like how are you going to react when there's actual problems?
Exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's hard to kind of grasp, but I feel like from the outside looking in, I get it because like when she's in, like when you're in that scenario, things that aren't a big deal feel like a big deal if you're in like a toxic relationship or like in something like that where obviously she's had a bad experience before. So she's on edge. Like
she's walking on eggshells. She just wants
and I don't think
everyone
that
to be happy, everything to be fine.
And my guess would be that it probably plays into way more than just food or like 100%. Way more than just like planning their meals situation. It's probably all throughout, but like that was just her breaking point that day.
It was. And then the next day they woke up, everything was seemingly fine. They were going to go to a market. They get in a cab, car, whatever it was to go to the market. And I guess tension started to rise again. This part I wasn't fully clear on if like where the bickering started or where the annoyance started between them. But when they got to the market, they both just kind of went their own ways and explored. There was some, I don't know if it was some matcha that he wanted to get and she wanted to get something else. So they kind of explored their own things. When they came back together, that's when, I don't want to say like the arguing, but that's when like I feel like
The actual like breakup started.
The actual breakup began there, and they ended up not really doing their plans for the day. Went back to the hotel room. That's where he actually broke up with her, ended things with her. And then this timeline was a little bit unclear as well, but it sounded like either that day or the next morning. It was like right after the breakup. She had to leave to go home because she had to go home a day earlier than him. She had a baby shower that she was going to. And she got in the cab. She left, went to the airport, checked in, was on her flight, getting ready to take off. And so it's been maybe 2-3 hours since she's seen him since the breakup. And that's when he posted the photo right before she was about to take off in her phone. She said she downloaded a VPN and couldn't.
I saw that clip of that.
Yeah, she couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi. So one of her friends texted her about the post. She saw it for the first time, and then she was in the air for 12 hours just with her thoughts. And I have a couple thoughts there.
I genuinely think I would have had some kind of medical emergency and needed to deplane.
Yeah.
Like, I would have came up with something.
No, 1,000%. But also, in what world is your boyfriend of 4 years not just going to take the flight home with you? Like, why did he need to stay an extra day in Tokyo?
That's a problem that they should have already been fighting about.
Right. It's a 12-hour flight home. It's not like it's a flight. It's a 2-hour flight
but
through
also,
the States.
Who's dating someone for 4 years and breaking up and 2 hours later posting it on social media?
For the world to see?
Yeah.
I think he has somebody else in mind that he will.
So I saw
in his back corner.
I saw a theory that like he may have done it so quickly because he wanted to like go out his last day in Tokyo and be like, no, look, I'm single. We broke up. See?
Right.
Which is so. If that
it's
part's
disgusting.
True,
he's literally I already think very little of him currently based on what I know, and. He has been spotted potentially out with another girl that looks similar to her because Dumois did report that Matt.
They were together and
yes,
she said it wasn't her.
Matt and Rachel were out and she said, wasn't me, LOL. And that was all we knew going into the Call Her Daddy episode.
That's wild. Well, I also saw something. I don't know if anybody listening kind of follows The Bachelor or The Bachelor. We used to.
And I'm starting to again.
And we're starting to again. But I did kind of watch when it was, do you know who Claire Crawley is?
Yeah, I saw this as well.
And she just came out and said that basically he was supposed to come on her season as one of the contestants. And she said, like, I don't want him on this season. He's not going to be there for the right reasons. He's not looking for like anything serious. And I already know that. So they agreed and they didn't put him on her season.
Yeah.
And then the next season was his season, and she was like, "How the hell does that work?"
On a show. It was very odd, and I know it seemed like he got his into the Bachelor world through Tyler Cameron because they were best friends, and they seemingly are not best friends anymore. So
I don't know the whole lore there because I wasn't really once Tyler Cameron was on it. I wasn't really following at that point.
Right.
So like I saw clips and stuff of like his situations, but I didn't totally follow at that point. So I didn't even really know who he was.
Oh yeah.
Either
like
Matt James
season.
And Tyler Cameron. Yeah. So
I followed for a few more seasons because Tayshia took over for Claire.
See, and I really liked her too. Yeah.
She had a great season.
Yeah. And I remember her from when I used to watch. And then she got her own. I just feel like there's been like a lot of talk of it maybe like getting better somehow.
I think so. And that's something that we predicted for 2025.
We did.
I know the show itself has been on for some time and it still seems like it's a bit of the same formula. However, Bachelor in Paradise is coming back I think they might be filming this summer. I don't know when it's going to air, but they have a new showrunner. So potential for a little revamp there. And everyone loves Paradise. Who doesn't love Paradise?
Yeah, I will say I watched that the last time it was on and I actually liked it. So I know. I haven't been keeping up with a lot of the reality TV that's going on, though, and I feel so lost. Like, what's the show Traitors that everyone's talking about?
I'm obsessed with Traitors.
See, I need to.
Wells was on Traitors.
Was he?
Yeah.
See, I knew who he is. And
You would like it.
I'm sure I would, but now it's one of those things where we've talked about this 1,000 times, and I'll say it again. I don't want to have every single streaming thing to watch shows, because like that's on
Do you
something.
not have Peacock?
I think I do.
You have
I
Peacock.
don't know. Do I?
Yeah.
Well, you probably use it more than me on my TV.
No, I know you have it because I'm pretty sure you use my account.
Do I?
There's one of the streaming systems that we have you on.
It's a couple.
It might be Peacock.
I think it's a couple.
What one was Love Island on? It's whatever one that one was on.
Which I never watched. Yeah, I know.
I gave you the login.
I know. No, I got the login and I never watched it.
But it's on your TV, isn't it? We'll check after this.
Well, the point is, it's
a good point.
I'm feeling all over the place because every time someone recommends a show to me, it's on a different platform, and I'm like, I'm comfortable with this platform, and now I gotta go find this other app, download this other app on my TV, do all this stuff, and it's just making me mad. And it's especially, I think it's a sore spot right now because I'm pretty sure Netflix just upped their prices again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just annoying me.
It did.
And I'm still like a cable girl as well. Like I have cable and I use it regularly.
I do love cable. I don't think I'm going to have cable soon, but I love cable. Shout out cable. I love your work.
Dude, it's just so good.
It is.
It is so good. And that's where I watch all my HGTV. And
cable's nice because it just, once you put a channel on, it just picks out what you watch.
Yeah, you don't have to think.
You don't have to scroll. It's just there.
There's no loading and are you still watching and then going to the little screen.
That's true.
It's just like on.
But Traitors, I will stand behind. You should watch it. There's like 6 episodes out right now. And
it's not incredible. Fully out. The full season
it's
out?
still releasing. It's releasing, which I have a bone to pick with the time slot it has. Thursdays at 9. Why Thursdays at 9? I have to wait all week to watch it. And then 9 o'clock is a little bit past my bedtime. So then I'm not watching it till like Friday after work. That I do not like. I would prefer maybe a Tuesday. I also would have loved for all the episodes to come out at once because I would have loved to binge it. But it started with like they released 3 and then it's week by week by week. And it's almost a little bit like Werewolf or I think the game Mafia. It's a game where everyone puts their heads down. There's one person in charge. Everybody gets a card with like a different letter. And if you have a king, it's like, okay, raise your head. Okay, you're the killers. You have to pick somebody to murder. They point at somebody. That person's murdered. I don't know. I've played it a couple times.
I have never.
Do you know
I know
kind
what
of
you're
the
kind of
premise
talking
of
about.
that?
I feel like I've seen people do this as like a party game. Or like
yes,
if you have like a marker, you swipe someone, and that's like.
Yeah, sort of like that.
Okay.
Sort of like that. But there's a whole group of reality TV stars and
accusing each other
of being the traitor. So Alan selects a group of people who actually are the traitors. So they find out.
So there's multiple?
Yeah, there's 3 right now.
I think,
there was 4.
I would really love to.
And then everyone else is faithfuls, and they're trying to find the traitors, and just the conversations they have.
And so, like, as the audience, do you know who the traitors are?
Yes, and then you hear like their conversations and like who they're gonna murder each night because they do a murder each night, and then that person isn't at breakfast the next day, and like they slowly bring people in. So it's like, oh, who's not gonna show up at breakfast? Then everyone's there, and they're like, dang, another housewife. What's going on? And then they're like, well, this person's been acting kind of funny. And they like start accusing each other about
shady.
things.
Everyone's
It is. And they do a round table and they all vote on who they think that the traitors are.
I've seen clips of like the round tables and people like accusing
people. It's
people.
amazing. I love it.
I definitely am going to watch it.
I could do like 3 seasons of it a year. I think right now they're on like maybe 1 season a year. We need more seasons. We need more celebrities on it. It's great. I love it.
This is the first time I'm hearing of it. Has it been out before, or is this the first time?
This is the 3rd season in America, but I think they do it overseas as well. They film in Scotland. You should go on.
That would be cool. Then I could get to travel.
Dude, if you went on, I'd be literally so excited for you.
I feel like I'd be
I think they would take you.
They would take me?
I think they would let you go.
Well, maybe I'll apply in like 3 seasons.
No. Well, I guess
Like
3 years? It's one season a year.
I don't know. We'll circle back, but honestly, I'd kind of be interested in
And
that.
I think they only
That's
film
like a
for
game show that
weeks.
I would actually be interested in because like
dude, okay.
Right, because like you don't have to really do anything. Like, there's no like physical activity involved.
I'm figuring out how to get you in contact with the Traitors, and it's all about the outfits too. Like people wear like really like cute, cool outfits. Like they play into the whole like being at the manor.
I'll watch it. I'll report back and say if it is something I would consider or not.
This is the most exciting thing ever.
We're talking like this is like actually going to happen or something.
Because I feel like they'd be so excited to have you. Why wouldn't they be? I don't know who they is.
That's really nice of you, but I think you give me more credit than other people. Okay. Well, we'll be looking and reporting back on that shadiness, but for now, let's get into some shady stories, starting with shady story number 1. Good morning. My wife and I stayed at the William Peter Mansion a few times now. The first time we stayed there, only people in the house, we kept hearing footsteps coming from the top floor. This is what got our attention. So as we laid in our bed, we heard a noise coming from down the main floor. It sounded like someone stacking plates in the kitchen. The first day was very exciting. So a year later, the fall of 2023, it was the weekend of daylight savings time. My wife and I stayed in the same room as we did the year before. This time, we didn't hear footsteps coming from upstairs, but we did hear the sounds of plates being stacked. We did try to investigate where the sound was coming from, but we never found the source. Here's the scary part. Saturday morning at 6 a.m., I woke up. I work a day shift, so I normally wake up around 5:15, and was laying there waiting for my wife to wake up so we could go get breakfast. As I was laying there, I heard the back door open, then close, and I could hear about 5 or 6 footsteps, and then what sounded like keys being dropped on the table. I woke my wife up and said someone was in the house. We laid there and listened, but heard nothing. Fast forward to Sunday morning, I woke up at 5 a.m., I heard the back door open again, and this time my wife was awake also. I said, "Did you hear that?" And she shushed me. We both heard the door close, then 5 or 6 steps, and the keys hitting the table. We laid there for a minute, and we both went downstairs to see what it was. Never found out what it was. My wife asked me, "What time did you hear the noise yesterday?" I said around 6 a.m. She said, "Oh, it's 5 a.m. now." I said to her, "Well, the clock stepped back 1 hour last night for daylight savings." That place has some interesting sounds.
I don't know why we kept going back there.
Well, first of all, it sounds like whoever's doing the haunting in the scenario,
They have a routine.
They are on point. They've got a better routine than we've got.
They truly.
So it's kind of impressive. I wouldn't be scared of somebody like this. They seem well put together, and they seem like they're not going to bother you.
You know what? They were minding their business. They were doing their chores. Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. But I love that we have a spooky story
in January.
randomly, but you know what? It's shady.
It made me kind of happy to see. I kind of miss Halloween.
Same.
I know. It's a long time till we have holidays again.
I know.
But Valentine's Day, I do love Valentine's Day. It is like one of my favorite holidays.
And write the shady stories of
about
your
Valentine's Day.
experience.
And maybe I'll tell some of my shady stories from
Brittany
Valentine's
has a
past.
lot.
I truly do. And yet it's my favorite holiday. Before Brian, I liked Valentine's Day when I was single more than in a relationship because I was never.
Is this tea right now? Does Brian
Yeah.
know you don't like it now?
No, I do like it. I've loved it ever since I've like been with him. Like I've had nice Valentine's days like in a relationship. But before I met him, I preferred being single on Valentine's Day, which I feel like is a little controversial. But because when I was single on Valentine's Day, it was the best. I'd get my nails done.
I remember you saying that.
I'd like make my favorite breakfast, go to Target.
Treat yourself.
I treated myself. And my boyfriend's just always forgot that Valentine's Day existed. So that was that was
tough.
sucked. So, but Brian always remembers Valentine's Day,
So that's good.
yeah, he's great. Shady story number 2. So I don't know if she's my friend anymore, but she made an Instagram account without her parents' permission. She has told me not to say anything, especially that my parents know her parents. I don't have an Instagram, but I do know she is doing things with her friends on there that her parents would not be very happy with her doing. If I tell my parents and they tell her parents, I have no idea what's going to happen with her. This is a predicament.
I love this because this actually truly is something that I feel would have eaten us alive in high school and in middle school.
Oh, absolutely.
And I feel that if this makes you feel any better, whoever wrote this, the worst that's going to happen maybe is like no phone, which is crazy,
That's
is
pretty
arguably pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
But, I feel like it might be worth doing. These are the questions you need to ask. Is her safety at risk? Then we tell the parents.
You know what? Spoken like a true parent.
There you go.
Very mature, very thoughtful. And so we consider if safety is at risk. And we go from there. Mental health, well-being. Anything else we should account for?
But this is I love this because this is truly like
this is a real shady story. This is a real predicament.
This is the epitome of like what we would have wrote back then. I feel like I've had conversations like this when we were younger. Of like,
no, we did.
And her page isn't on private.
Nope, it's not on private. And she's accepting everybody that is friend requesting her.
We've had these problems.
Very dangerous. Don't trust people on the internet.
Exactly.
Except us.
Why were we both going there? Like we both knew. Oh gosh. All right. Shady story number 3. Me and my friend Sierra were driving to the hospital to visit her mother who was having medical complications due to her diabetes at the time. Me and Sierra are talking, having a nice time, enjoying a nice fall drive to the hospital. We stop at a red light, and then randomly some jerk behind us honked, and then the split second the light turned green, and literally less than a second after the light turned green, blared their horn. So we drove extra slow to keep them even more impatient behind us. A few minutes go by, and they come flying around us, only to be stopped at another red light once they were ahead of us. We knew what to do. We honked the split second the light turned green, making them speed off angrily, making us laugh for the rest of the drive. One of the most satisfying times we've ever been shady.
This I also fear is something we would do.
Yes and no. I honestly have learned to not
engage in road rage.
Because truly, like, I don't trust people anymore. I've like been in experiences where I have felt so enraged, and I'm like, I love to think I am a pretty level-headed, like, rational human.
As you are.
But I have experienced my own rage of like, oh my God, why would they do that? And like, it can consume you.
It is very consuming.
So I trust myself, but I don't trust other people.
And you should never trust other people. Like we said, don't trust people on the internet. Don't trust people on the road except for us.
And arguably on the road, not us.
No, I got flipped off the other day on the road.
Every time I'm on the phone with you and I can like hear your car in the background.
You're nervous?
I'm like, please don't like do anything or fight with anyone. Like, I always am hearing like honking, you being like, what the F, go. And like in my mind, I'm like, just please, I don't want to be a witness on the phone. Like,
you and Brian both. Brian, I swear, he's like, I'm trying to get out of my parking garage at work is a nightmare. And Brian is typically on the phone with me when I'm getting out of my parking garage.
Wait till you're out.
I really should, because it's always a situation. There's always traffic either coming from the parking garage or outside of it, and it takes like 20 minutes to get onto the street and like driving. There's a lot of commotion going on, and it can be a bit overwhelming. And he is very patient, and he just sits there and listens and takes it in.
As you yell.
Yeah.
That's nice of him. Moral support for you.
Moral support
as you go through those times.
Correct. And we have a fourth and final little story here. I'm in middle school, and me and my friend read the same book, and I was annoyed because of a character, and I said, fuck him. And my friend said, she already did. And then the teacher heard. Gasp. Double gasp.
Who did?
The teacher heard.
No, but
it was just a joke about the character, I think.
oh, like did she spoil the book?
I think so.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's
so
tough.
it was just a silly little thing that the teacher overheard.
I hope this isn't a book you're reading for school, if that is the case.
I hear kids are reading some books that they should not be reading.
The books.
And not like banned books, but like
the school is giving these books to the kids, or the
no,
kids are
the
just
kids
reading
are reading
what,
books that they should not be
reading. A win
reading.
is a win, and I think we need to take it sometimes. And if a kid is reading,
we let them read, but they are reading some rated R things from what I've heard.
Arguably, then that could get weird, but
it could get weird. And I think it's the teachers are in the predicament because like the teachers are reading some of these books in like their own time. Like not at school. The teachers are reading the book, or they know what the book's about.
They know what the books are.
And then they see the student with the book reading, and they're like, my God, you should be reading a PG book, and this is at least PG-13.
I guess, yeah, if you're bringing it to school, then you could probably get in trouble. But also at the same time, like, I'm just thinking, like, devil's advocate here, like, on your phone, like, who knows what kids are doing on their phone, and their phones are at school. So it's like...
Correct. So at least
what's the
they
lesser
are
of the
reading.
two evils?
Reading versus social media. Reading. Although, one time in elementary school, if kids are around, this is a warning.
Uh-oh. I'm kind of nervous. What'd you do?
Okay, I've given the warning now twice for little listening ears. I read in a book that Santa wasn't real.
Who gave you this book? Where'd you find
it? It was
this
in
book?
the library. And
at school?
Yes. And it was like a fictional book. And it wasn't about, like, it wasn't a Christmas book where, you know, sometimes in a Christmas plot line.
Oh my God, was it like a Junie B or something?
Yeah, it was like one of those kinds of books. Not necessarily Junie B. Jones, but something to that nature.
Like where you're kind of like learning lessons.
Yes,
and
learning.
stuff.
Yep, and the kid learned that Santa wasn't real, and then like went through that. And
so what did you do when you went home? Like, did you like?
I don't think I said anything to anyone. Like, I just think like I remember exactly where I was sitting because we were in elementary school, and if you could remember, like in the library, sometimes we'd get like silent reading time, and you could sit wherever you wanted in the library because it was just your class in there. I can remember the exact spot I was sitting. I was sitting on the bookshelf near the wall that connected to the computer lab. Yep. And I shut the book, and I was mortified. I couldn't believe it.
That's tough. I hope that doesn't happen to kids anymore.
I know.
They know what content's in their library.
I know, because that was terrible.
Not a good way to find out, I would say.
It sucked.
Like, but when you read it, like, you believed it? Like, you didn't be like, oh, this book's wrong?
No, because in the context in which the book was written, it was
very matter of fact.
Because it was one of those, like, learning lessons books where it was, like, real life. It wasn't a Christmas plot line where...
It wasn't. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so
that's tough. I'm really sorry for your experience.
Thank you.
Arguably shady of our library to have that in.
And we were library assistants.
Yeah, we were always.
Honestly, that could have been on us.
That could have been. We put it in the wrong section.
We were library assistants for like 2 years. That was maybe our fault.
Okay, I love how that followed me throughout like high school. I did it in high school too.
I did it in middle school too, but I didn't think it was an option in high school.
Oh yeah, I did.
I loved
elementary, middle, and high school.
Like, I think if well, sometimes at work we have this icebreaker, like if you like could just like pick a job to do, any job in the world, like, and like you still like make your livable salary or whatever, like money's no object. I was like, I think like being a librarian could be nice, or like working in a Barnes and Noble. Seems peaceful.
Well, it depends what kind of customer service you have to do.
This is true.
But yeah, I could see that.
I love filing away books.
I will say, like, being in those environments feels peaceful, but that's like as a consumer,
That's true.
not necessarily.
But I liked being a library assistant.
Yeah.
But do you think it'd be different being the actual librarian?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
A lot of
maybe
pressure.
maybe my dream job is library assistant. Yes.
Yes. Yes. I don't think they have that in like the real world, but yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now we know what you're doing in your second life.
Thank you.
But that concludes this week's episode. We will see you in the Patreon bonus content if you want to go through some of the outfits from the WAGs of the NFL season this past season. If not, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.